to Different Gravy, not just another Sheffield Wednesday podcast. I'm one of the hosts, Richard Miller, and my co-host, inspired by one of today's opposition's nicknames, has started referring to himself as the White Man. The White Man is in the lobby. The White Man has entered the chat. The White Man would like a beer. The White Man would like to buy you a drink. Why are you ignoring the White Man? The White Man is now a comedy misogynist. The White Man is cancelled. The White Man himself, Dr. Luke Gledall. How are you doing today, Luke?
I'm good. Yeah. How can I follow such an intro?
It seems bizarre in this day and age that they're still calling themselves the White Men.
I'm so sorry. I've got no idea for the reference, man. Sorry.
Bolton, one of their nicknames is the White Man.
Oh, the White Man. Okay.
Like the commentator, I was on the Bolton commentary, and the commentator was like, "The White Men are heading up the field. Come on, the White Men."
Oh, that's very strange. That's very bizarre.
It's a bit odd, isn't it?
It's very weird. I'm doing okay. I need to do an apology if you hear my voice be a little bit croaky. It's because I went out last night, had a rare Friday night, living it up with a couple of friends, and yeah, I'm a bit hungover. Well, I was saying to Rich before this, it's not so much the alcohol consumption; it's the lack of sleep that kind of comes with getting up 8 a.m. MST to watch the Sheffield Wednesday football team.
I suppose it's not good quality sleep, is it, when you've had a little drinky poo either?
It is not when you've had a drinky poo or two, as you put it. Yeah.
I mean, there's some vague kudos in having a tired out voice because you've actually gone and had fun and seen other human beings. I am in the rather pathetic position of having somehow like trapped a nerve in my shoulder because I've played too much Elden Ring, which is it's one of the most pathetic sentences any human has ever said, I imagine. I don't know I don't know all of the scope of world history. I won't even pretend to, but I'd be very surprised if there's many sentences more pathetic than I've injured myself sitting still in one place.
That's very funny. I was wondering mainly that you said that you were going to have a tired voice because that's the energy you can give and muster towards talking about Sheffield Wednesday this weekend.
Oh, I'm going to try and liven it up. I don't know. Let's see where we go. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting. We've held off on discussing specifics of the game, but we've got a feeling from our vague utterances that we might be at different sort of level scales on the whelmometer following this performance. First off, though, shall we just get ourselves into a bit of
breaking hoo-hoos?
Break off a little chunk of that hoo-hoos.
Hoo-hoos bar.
And really the main thing is it was a video that was just released just after the show came out really last week of Bannan and Hunt doing their teammates thing. They called it Bannan X Hunt, and I just hate this X thing. What does it mean?
Yes.
It needs to finish. It needs to end. What unless they want to finish the equation, what does Bannan times Hunt make? What does it equal?
It's a Bannan Hunt monster. But maybe the least best qualities of each one. Maybe.
Oh well, neither of them can shoot. Yeah, I don't know. But it's an enjoyable watch. If people haven't sorted it out, it's worth a little. It's worth a watch. There are clearly two men who get along and have spent a number of years together. They're also clearly quite competitive. In particular, Bannan is hugely competitive, which is I suppose we know from watching him play football. But you get the idea that his young daughter is probably not going to win many games of sports against him. I think he's going to be that sort of dad. Get good or lose is going to be his approach, I imagine, to introducing her to sports. But it's sort of in the form of a kind of Mr. and Mrs. type show, isn't it? So they kind of they're asked a question. So each one asks a question of the other, and they have to guess. Well, they're asking a question of themselves, aren't they? And putting down their answer, and the other person has to then guess what their answer would be. So, yeah, a few little nuggets from it.
It's a shame we didn't get into which one is the big spoon, which one's the little spoon.
I think we know.
It's Bannan.
I think Baz is always the little spoon.
I was going to say Baz Big.
Really? You think
he's got that big spoon energy?
Got that big spoon energy, but he's got that little spoon frame.
Yeah, I don't know, but you know the whole thing about like a Yorkshire Terrier who talks a good game. You know?
Talks a good game. Yeah. I mean, we referenced Craig David last week, and he had the album titled "Born to Do It," and I think in Barry Bannan's case, Born to Do It in terms of being the little spoon, but maybe he's playing against type. Maybe that's the way it's going. He mentions Bannan doesn't really watch films. It's just intriguing little nuggets about their lives. But Green Mile is his favourite film.
It's a strange one.
Dunkley would be the worst.
Doesn't Hunt guess Shawshank Redemption?
He does, which is very close, isn't it? Dunkley would be the worst teammate to be stuck on a desert island with because he talks too much, which I think we've now heard from a few different sources, haven't we? Who was it that was saying he was like teacher's pet the other week?
Oh, I think that was Patterson and Bannan doing a video,
yeah. Lateness is Bannan's pet peeve. Hunt's a UFC fan. I sort of mentioned in passing. And then, they said Pato was the obvious choice for a player who would end up in goal. They then showed a picture of Patterson in the goalkeeper's jersey. Has he been in goal for us? Or was
I don't think so, unless
nicely
it's
doctored?
unless it's going to be something from training, maybe
some
pre-season shenanigans. Yeah, I think that's probably where it's from.
He looked good in the orange jersey. Anyway, it's got to be said. He's pulling it off. Again, but I was interested because Hodge has played in goal for us, hasn't he? I think he ended up in goal during a game once. But he wasn't the choice. It was Patterson, and I do just love the fact that his adaptability even extends to being in goal. The Daily Mail app apparently is Barry Bannan's most used app.
I can't believe. Just seriously, man. Though Jack Hunt was like, you actually probably like Instagram more.
Yeah, which he sort of begrudgingly maybe accepted. But my goodness, what's he getting out of the Daily Mail app? Like,
it's one of those apps where it's like a newspaper. We've got an app. We're like, okay, so it takes you to the website. Oh, so basically, it's just like kind of a contained web browser purely for just looking at your newspaper.
But isn't it?
Why don't I just go on the browser?
The Mail Online is a cesspit, isn't it? It's just basically like talking about how Surrey Cruise is just as sexy as Katie Holmes and things like that. Like it's just really poorly judged grot again and again. Anyway,
do you think Barry Bannan's seen enough poorly judged grot and shared the Sheffield Wednesday team?
Oh well. We can talk about last season's poorly judged grot in terms of someone who lined up against us today, Elias Kachunga.
Is that the segue to get onto?
Could be, but I just wanted to pick up again. Again, there was a mention of Deli Bashiru putting milk in before cereal, which is true madness.
Exactly.
And at some point, we need to hear from Deli Bashiru himself. In defense of
explain the thinking or lack of thinking behind thereof.
There was also Patterson, the smartest guy. So I just put handsome, intelligent, a massive piece. What a guy! They also listed what he was smart on. They said films, countries, stuff you don't need to know. And then also there was a mention of what other sport Hunt might play. And Hunt said to Bannan, or he said of Bannan, he's known me a long time and my body has changed. Which I just thought was a really odd little aside to make.
Very strange, yeah.
So there we go. But yeah, let's take a late trip on my my little segue there and bring ourselves to the Bolton game.
I believe it's readily accessible by segways. the University of Bolton Stadium.
Sadly, not able to get a ticket for this one, despite many being available.
You had 4,000 points. It needed 20,000
I
points.
just needed 5,001 points at 4,999, so I just missed out.
Oh.
But we went with the same starting lineup as the previous game.
We did not.
We did not. No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
There was one change.
There was one change in that I also dropped for Story.
That's correct. The man who missed out for personal reasons.
Yes, is now personally back and personally responsible for being right-sided centre-back.
I don't know. I'm still frustrated with the lack of, like, even the smallest change frustrates me. Like, 'cause, I mean, in theory, yeah, it's what we should be doing. But, like, I don't know. I mean, if Story did genuinely miss out for personal reasons, or is the personal reason that Darren Moore personally fancies Iorfa in X game and doesn't fancy Story? Is that the personal reason?
It's just I think the tricky thing with Moore is I'm having to like retrain my brain, because I think for all my life as a football fan, my assumption has been there is the plum 11 that you want. That's what we want to put out on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And the aim is to play them as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And as you say, it's very rare we get away with even just with less than one change, with no changes at all. It's very, very rare that happens. And so it's having to like not think, okay, that's something bad or wrong. It's just that's how he's determined to manage the squad. But yeah, I think nobody was bowled over by Iorfa's performance last week. He was pretty, pretty underwhelming in many ways. But then if the aim is to get Iorfa fit and get him ready for the post-season shenanigans, then I can be on board with him playing some games now to get him up to speed. But then dropping him again for Story that's not happening then, is it? It's so I don't know. But yeah, so you're right. Sorry, I apologise. Not the same lineup. Story in for Iorfa, but everybody else around them the same. It took me sort of 5 minutes to get my stream sort of warmed up and going. So I think that the first thing I saw really was Bannan having a bit of an effort from distance, but I believe there was a couple of, maybe Mendes Lang had a chance before that. This is sort of 5 minutes in.
So the one was it about the 7th minute that you had like Bannan? Did you like step foot a shot wide? Was that the thing that you're kind of bringing in your analysis on? He had
around the 5th minute mark. He had a shot, and then there was a corner that he just sort of passed straight into the keeper's hands. Then he had
okay.
Shot in the sort of 8th minute. Bannan had another effort from the edge of the box after Mendes Lang kind of teed him up.
You missed possibly the worst short corner routine in a while.
Oh.
So it's one of those. You remember the short corner routines where we had, this is the 2nd minute. We decided that we would do. Mendes Lang would play it to Bannan, who would roll it back to Mendes Lang to then cross in. And, he was offside. Mendes Lang was offside from doing that. So you got to miss that, Rich. But everything else from there pretty much is how you've kind of mapped it out. And this is what I've got as well. I mean, yeah, a frantic and electric start to this game of football. Truly a bit of a white-knuckle ride across the Bolton Bowl here.
Yeah.
Really a supermarket sweep in home bargains. The Bolton sponsors.
Yeah.
Sponsor us for the Wanderers.
Sponsor us from the Wanderers. Lovely stuff. And this is the first time I noted I really do not like white against our pink kit. I don't think it's enough of a contrast. I think it's horrible. And I also, I think particularly today, it was one of these games that you do kind of get during the springtime where in certain stadiums where like half the ground was in shadow and the other half was in bright sunshine. And the contrast, when you were moving between the two, it was often quite difficult. There was a few moments I got really excited because I thought we'd played a great ball out to a man free in the box, and actually it turned out it was a Bolton player, but you just couldn't tell what colour their shirt was because it was all hyper saturated, and then sort of calmed down. I don't know whether our home kit would have been more of a contrast or not. I don't know, but didn't love it as a. I just like a little bit more of a difference. And I think sometimes the players couldn't quite tell. There were some odd passes played that were like,
yeah. To be fair,
but yeah, this was also the first time that the Bolton commentator said, "Come on, you white men," and I said that can't be their nickname, can it? But I looked it up. It is.
Fourth minute though, yeah. Wow, great counter. Don't know how we got to Gregory, but checks it back to Bannan, who takes a curled hit, which nearly kind of crept in. And pulled out a great save from Trafford. That's the Bolton keeper, isn't it?
He was a busy boy, Old Trafford.
Old Trafford.
Hey.
Well, you know the delicious irony that he's Man City youth product.
Yes, yeah.
And yet he's called Trafford. Oh, the jokes they must have in that academy.
Oh, the japes.
Oh, they must have mildly developed on a little bit further than we have on this podcast. And now we will be doing this episode. Perhaps. So the resulting corner better than the first one, but the keeper gathers from Barron's cross. 7th minute as well, just to tie those bits together, gets back up to speed with each other. Bannan really wants to score today. Mendes-Lang does what he does best, picks up from a throw-in and then just blisters in the box, strokes it back for Bannan, who's kind of intercept-fired shot just wide. That was a nice little hit.
Yeah.
There's a few nice little hits from Mr. Barry Bannan today that we'll get onto in our coverage of this game.
Yeah, he had some chances. He certainly did. Because he had that 5th minute one, he had the 8th minute one, and then he had one in the 11th minute, which I thought was probably the best of the lot, which was, I think, again, Mendes-Lang worked it back to him, and he hit it with his right foot at this time. It looked a pretty good effort.
I mean, between there, Mendes-Lang had a shot deflected wide. Resulting corner up to nothing, came to nothing. But I said, yeah, electric start. We seem up for it to take the pace of things. That was the thing you've come to. I had 10th minute, but 11th minute. Potato. Gregory just fantastic to win the ball, rescue across the box. Runs out to that man again, who hits it so well, but perfectly straight at Old Trafford. He did hit it in the direction of Old Trafford as well.
He did hit it straight. Yes.
Yeah. Great hit, but just right down the gullet of the young keeper, the young old keeper.
Well, it's like followers of Muhammad pray to Mecca. Bannan always shoots to Old Trafford, which actually is why he's so profligate in front of goal. But sometimes it lines up, and that's why he's had this amazing run of form.
He's just got one of those compasses that just eternally just keeps flicking round, and he can't be patient enough. He doesn't have the time. He doesn't have the time to wait and see wherever that compass does end up. So he just takes an approximate Plethigority. He
also gets a kind of like an astrological type reading. So Mercury's in the is ascending. Old Trafford's going to be directly behind the goal in the Cup at Hillsborough, so you're going to get some goals this month. So he knows whether it's going to be a good shooting month or not. Anyway,
sounds a bit like an astrology kind of column. I would like to see your Sheffield Wednesday astrology column, Rich. Mystic Rich.
I'll have to work on something. They talked. So the commentary. I was on the Bolton commentary, and Dion Charles was being talked about as being, as we've heard many a Sheffield Wednesday striker talked about. Oh, he's doing everything he can, but he's just not getting the goals at this point in time. And the co-commentator came up with this absolute peach. He said Dion Charles just needs a goal so he can regain confidence in his own luck.
Oh wow, that's an interesting view from the white men.
Yeah. Oh dear, just made me laugh as a bit of like botched logic. if he just proves to himself he can actually do this through skill, then in the future he might be able to think he can get lucky and do it again. My next note is a golden opportunity for Mr. Mendes-Lang. I don't know if you've got anything in the between there. About the 21st minute, I've got.
Yeah, there's very little at this point,
Yeah,
in between times.
I think it's the ebb and flow of the game, really. We rattled out the box and had a lot of possession and probably should have scored during that period of time that we were very much in the ascendancy. And then they took a bit more control. They actually had a bit... It wasn't possession that was hurting us in any way, shape or form, but it was possession that they were having. They were passing it around at the back and... trying to take the sting out of us a little bit, and it was starting to work. But on the break, Hunt just charged down his man, took the ball on a lovely run down the wing, and cut a really precise cutback to Mendes-Lang. He's closer to the goal than the penalty spot. He was entirely unmarked,
and
I don't know what he did. He sort of kicked it back the way it came. He didn't hit close to hitting the target.
He managed to kick his other leg or something, right? Or
something like that. Miss it and bounce it off his standing leg or something like that. It was so disappointing because it was really just hit half the goal he had to hit. If he could have hit the far side of the goal, he probably would have come away with a goal, and I don't know. It would have been a different story for the game really at that point. But just it sort of chipped it wide, about 4 foot wide from a really, really good position, and it wasn't a difficult chance. It wasn't difficult to hit. It was really well set up by Hunt.
I feel we're getting a little bit into the whole kind of concept that we found with, even though, past 2 games to this, right? We've seen 2 goals from Jekunt. And, but we did talk a lot about the fact that he had a real kind of Kieran Lee-like ability. Kieran Lee obviously absent today. We didn't get to see him in his KKK colours in Lancashire, Lancashire. But he had that real kind of ability to get into some very, very promising positions on the ball, and it's just lamenting the fact. I'm wondering if we're seeing a little bit of an element of that with Mendes-Lang up front for us. Certainly, if we're looking down striking options. There are finishers above him in that little mini table.
Yeah, he's getting opportunities because he's got the physicality to get himself in spaces that maybe others don't. But when you get opportunities, you wish it was somebody else because he's really not a finisher of any note.
I don't know. I wasn't too frustrated with seeing him start, though. I don't know. I'm wondering whether we go with a more conventional centre forward pairing, kind of moving forward. I don't think it's working so well right now. A few moments of promise, and there's a few bursts of pace that I really appreciated. And I can tell he's kind of there for that reason. But maybe we need a bit more of a complete footballing centre forward partnership.
Yeah, it is. It's the conundrum we talked about last week. Really, if you decide we want Mendes-Lang to play, it's where does he play? Because I don't really want him replacing Johnson at left wing back.
No.
Too good. I don't really want him at the moment replacing Hunt at right wing back. So he's quite limited in where he would fit in at this point in time. So,
there's also a weird litany of that at Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, I can think of 3 players who were fairly prominent but kind of missing out, or kind of would be on the the edge of the starting 11 at Wednesday, and that's Palmer, Patterson, and Mendes-Lang. It's just there's just no born position for their utility. No.
And the other one that's a little bit harshly done by at this point in time is Berahino, because he'd hit a pretty good vein of form, certainly the best run of form he's ever had in a Wednesday shirt. And then he's he's dropped. He's dropped for Mendez-Laing, and he gets to come on late on in games. And I don't know. I mean, it's hard to come on and influence things, I think. But
he's not really a player for that. It's not a change in that reason. It's more of a like, let's see if he can do something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's a Hail Mary rather than a thought through plan of action.
Tactical plan of action, yeah.
The 23rd minute, we had an absolute sort of physical showing of a brain fart from Jordan Storey.
Yeah.
As he wandered in field, barely any pressure from Bolton. I mean, there was some Bolton players stood near him, but not enough to provoke what he did, which was kind of lay it off backwards to a person that wasn't there in a Wednesday shirt. And that sent Bolton away on a pretty decent break. They had a pretty vicious shot that was blocked wide. But it just showed, I mean, well, it would have been big question marks over why Storey had been put back in over Iorfa. If that had resulted in a goal, I think we really would have been scratching our heads. But thankfully, it was well blocked away. But it just was a complete lapse in concentration and
awful misplaced pass. You know.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of like almost kind of following the corner from there. Hutchinson,
they had
great
another
work to get in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had another sort of decent effort, didn't they? Mm-hmm. The next note I've got is the 31st minute, which is Gregory being taken out after that long ball. He was found in behind, and one of those incidences where I'm sort of expecting the linesman's flag to go up, but it didn't, and he was just hoiked down unceremoniously by Bolton, by George Johnson, the Bolton centre back. He just hoiked him over. We then had the free kick, and we had a pretty decent effort from that free kick. I didn't see who got the flick on, but Bannan whipped it in, and it was a good free kick. I think it was possibly would have gone in if nobody had touched it, but it got a flick as well, and that kind of sent it even quicker on its way. But again, we managed to find Trafford with it in a sort of sea of bodies and bits of open goal. We managed to kind of go straight at Trafford. But another decent effort from Wednesday. The rebound fell to Gregory, who kind of fluffed his lines a bit. It was a bit of he sort of volleyed through it and sent it spinning off at an odd angle rather than towards the goal, which prompted a break from them and a tremendous full stretch tackle by Luongo. He had a great game today, Massimo Luongo. He was really everywhere. This was a all action mass type performance. Then my next note's the 43rd minute, where Bolton basically had the mirror image of that exact same chance with the same setup. I don't know if you've got anything between there and then.
Well, that was the one where like Dean kind of entered the book, right, for giving this kind of little kind of heavy duty tickle around the midriff.
Tickle, yeah. I think he got done. To be fair, I think watching it back, I think the striker had managed to turn him. So in a bit of a bit of desperation, I think that was one of those moments where Dion Charles was believing in his own luck and managed to roll.
I didn't want to say like heavy grade tickle because I was trying to like kind of get my head around kind of what happened. He did foul him, but it was just a weird kind of like tug from behind.
I think it's a classic. I mean, Dean's the best kind of old school centre back we've got, really, in many ways. Mm-hmm. I think you just know as a centre back, if you've lost that tussle on the sideline and you're meant to be the middle of the defence, you just don't let it continue. You don't let that player run on and get the ball in the box. So you just stop it happening by any means necessary. And what he did was sort of pull the shirt and drag him back so that the play halted. We've seen too many. I mean, he's by all accounts, having a very good season for Huddersfield. But Tom Lees was not nasty enough in those situations. He would let himself get dragged out. And it's kind of a cardinal sin to let the ball come out of that situation. You need to either get the ball or get the man. It just stops where you are. And that I think I just read it as Dean just being an old pro and going like, okay, I would have got he would have got turned and got a cross into the box, and I don't want that to happen while I'm not there, so I'll just stop him, which is fair enough. I think it's as good a yellow as you could take, really, as a centre back.
Pretty much, the free kick was whipped in, free header for Bodvarsson.
Yeah, they seem to put Daddy into his name. Is his nickname Daddy, or do they just like one apiece?
Maybe
he does have Daddy in there. John Daddy Bodvarsson.
I was like, yeah, I kept hearing that. I'm like, am I just mentally hearing something else when they say something else?
Oh, Daddy. Oh, you're so Icelandic. Yeah, it just went wide of the post, didn't it? Another bit of a let off. 45th minute, just before half time, Mendez-Laing manages to spurn another pretty decent chance. We had a 3-on-2 breakaway.
God, you can just sense the lack of confidence from him going forward in that situation. It's just apparent for everybody.
He made a bad choice before his bad shot as well, because Gregory, I know this is hindsight 2020, it's all happening at pace, but the two defenders had gone to block Johnson and Mendez-Laing, which meant Gregory was pretty much free with the side of the box. But instead of playing it to Gregory, who would have been able to probably just take a shot straight away on his right foot, he fizzed it into the run of Johnson on his right foot, who can't do anything, doesn't really want to do anything as right foot. So he cut it back to Mendez-Laing, and Mendez-Laing just sort of thumped it against the body of the defender who got himself in the way. Just disappointing. Another really, really good chance, and just not being clinical enough, not finishing our dinner, which unfortunately sort of becomes the story of the tale of the game, really, I think, by and large. So we reach half time.
Mm-hmm.
What were your half-time thoughts?
Half as old as time is what I've written down here.
Half as old as time, slightly better than Bolton. On balance, had the better chances. Didn't tuck one away. Exactly.
Yeah, a bit more beast than beauty. Needs more beauty second half, lads.
Which I think Darren Moore probably said.
That's probably what he said, yeah. No, I don't know. It was a weird thing to come in at halftime. I felt confident that we would eventually get a goal. I felt that, like, it was weird because, I mean, this whole game is strange. Like, I'm generally kind of hungover and tired, and you can feel that in my voice. And then I'm talking about Sheffield Wednesday and doing this podcast. And we're getting to the part of the season where I'm just... it's this kind of mild crippling anxiety about Sheffield Wednesday and what they're going to do for the rest of the season, and whether we're going to make it to the playoffs. And then there's the playoffs itself. And just generally add on to that, Rich and I think I can talk pretty clearly for both of us. We're pretty tired of... we get to that point of the season where it becomes a bit more of a chore doing this podcast.
Yes.
So all of that energy added up just means that I'm looking at another first half of football and thinking, I don't know, there is naturally always the thing hanging over me, the sword of Damocles over Sheffield Wednesday after every first half where we're dominant and we don't score, that's gonna kick us in the ass later. Yeah.
There's also that feeling. It's also the other thing that's happening in some of these games, and I really felt this today, was we've been there ourselves. But if you're that team that's kind of drifted out of the picture, either at the top end of the table or the bottom end of the table, you play games in this sort of weird, I don't know, it feels like you're constantly doing a bit of a dice roll of whether you can be arsed minute to minute really trying. And like there was really, like, Bolton at times just looked like they were on the beach. At times looked like they were really trying hard. And there was very little rhyme or reason as to why each thing was happening. But I think we've been there as Wednesday fans where sometimes as a team in that situation, you'll absolutely spank a team. Like we talked about the Norwich game. I think we had that a couple of times. We also we were party poopers for Cardiff at one time, for Watford at another time. Like, teams in that sort of situation where they don't really care what happens with the game can really make a lot of mischief. And I think most of this game, Bolton looked like they were semi-comatose. But then every now and then they just sort of like, oh, should we try for a bit just to keep ourselves interested? Should we just have 5 minutes of like trying to win? And I think that, that was a hard feeling to shake, that just like we weren't probably getting the full Bolton experience. And at some point that might just click into place as well. Nobody made any changes at halftime. The first thing I've got really was a Bolton chance.
Yeah, that was the 47th minute. I said lucky to get away with one there. That I don't really recall much else from my notes, but that was...
No, I think it was a nice bit of play by Sadlier. They're 22.
Formerly Rotherham player.
Yeah, yeah. And so it was a kind of a cross-come shot that Bailey Peacock-Farrell had to scramble to just make sure didn't go in, and then they had a second effort, which thankfully they just put into the side netting. But another kind of another bit of a warning call for us that there was a football match happening here, and we really should.
By the way, Rich, you mentioned the full Bolton experience and said that. Please, I'm really sad that you've mentioned that, because I feel for everybody who's going to have to watch that on ITV Saturday night, hosted by Vernon Kay.
Shiny floor Saturday night TV show, the full Bolton experience. It's Vernon Kay. It's Peter Kay. All the Ks.
All the Ks. Kay from Bolton.
It's Kay from Bolton.
And she works at the Iceland. Yeah. Everyone knows Kay.
A guy called Kai, but it sounds a bit like Kay. The Bolton commentary, and I think the Bolton crowd really felt like this referee was picking on them and being pretty unfair. I think they might be right. I also think he was picking on Wednesday and being unfair. I think the ref seemed to have a kind of Dada-esque absurdist approach to managing the game. Just blowing his whistle and pointing wherever he felt like, and just letting other people interpret what he was saying with his refereeing performance. Just bizarre. You just didn't know what was going to... Like, some people were clearly fouled, and then a foul was given against them. Sometimes the ball went out for a throw-in, and he gave a foul. It was really, a kind of scenery-chewing performance from the referee in the midst of this this ho-hum drama. We then made our changes. That's the next thing I've got, really, is our changes. I think the game kind of...
Wow, you've jumped ahead a lot. Like the different gravy second half spell is really falling off already. I actually got a few things for second half.
Okay, hit us with it, Luke.
Hit us with it. So the 48th minute, did you cover that, or have I just lapsed off in my hungover state?
The 48th minute was them having their chance, the 22, sadly, one, yeah?
Oh, no, but we had one straight after. We counted, and Johnson was fouled on the edge of the area. I said a bit awkward decision, but I was like, hell, I'll take it. Free kick routine is stroke back to Johnson to crack it, and Victoria Corin Mitchell will be disappointed as he doesn't only connect. Hey. 56 minute, more strange kind of free kicks. Hunt weirdly adjudged to have fouled the Bolton player for Hunt being blocked.
Yeah.
That was strange, but I said we've been a little bit fortuitous with decisions. I'm going to be honest. He was very card happy, especially for Bolton players at the beginning.
Yeah.
We really set the tone, and then it felt like we would get booked just because it's like, look, I've set on this mad streak of booking players, so therefore you're getting a booking. He was a bit Oprah Winfrey of yellow cards. Really, everyone was looking under their seat and finding a fine from the FA for £5.
I don't know, because I thought the two centre-backs getting booked were absolutely fair dues.
They were, but it seemed like... I don't know, you seem on referees to be like, they're reticent to reach for cards. But he just didn't have that. He just went in with a ban. It's not a consistency.
No,
general refereeing approach to yellow cards, at least. But yeah, I did think they were like that. So Anyway, so your notes kind of come with a double sub, and that was 62nd minute. I didn't really make a note of that. 60th minute, I made a note after the Hunt thing that I've just talked about, the weird free kick decision. Second half dragging on the game, getting tired and lacking impetus. I'm already thinking at this stage that we should hook off Mendes Lang, basically.
Yeah.
We should just...
I think he had a big sprint around the time, and
I think
he looked knackered after that. He looked absolutely, he was blowing after that.
I can relate because I did one of those things where I played disc golf the other week, and then I ran. When you go down a hill and you think, oh, I might as well just carry on momentum, and then you just kind of as a fat overweight man, you just keep running down this hill. It knackered. It absolutely ruined me for the rest of the round, and it was only 9 holes, and that was hole 5. So it wasn't good.
No, that doesn't sound good.
No, hole 4. Yeah, damning. Anyway, I can relate to you, Nathaniel Mendes Lang.
I'm just like you.
I was wondering, I was there thinking, I don't know. The double sub, I didn't hate it. I'm going to be, what else? There's a couple of things here. 60th minute, sadly, was played in. He's hassled down. He jinked to his right, and I think he did a really nice little kind of play in, kind of curled, kind of little through ball through the middle. But then actually, huge kudos goes to Sam Hutchinson. Did some fantastic work to get back and put a pretty huge block in to put that one behind. 61st minute, Bolton have the ball in.
Everyone else, what for?
You remember Bolton having the ball in the net for offside, and I genuinely can't recall what the offside was.
Yeah.
That was strange.
That was that man again, that Dion Charles chap.
Oh, he didn't believe in it. He didn't work hard enough to get enough luck.
He's got his goal now. He just needs to make sure the next one's legitimate. Said the commentator.
And I think that takes us to 62nd minute. It's a double substitution. So one of the things I didn't talk about from the first half was a chance where I think Johnson put a cross in and Byers made it really badly.
Yes.
But it's been hard watching Byers get back up to speed.
He's not been the same, has he, since his little spell out of on the sidelines?
Not at all. No, it's been disappointing.
I think he's done. Today was I don't know. Today wasn't. I think they were great. They were good subs, both of those, because I thought neither of them was having a particularly good.
No, I would agree with that.
I think last week, to be fair to Byers, he was doing his honey to the soup. He was doing his Billy Piper update, honey to the soup.
Bring us up to heaven, baby.
Yeah. The kind of just being the extra pass when it was needed, being the extra tackle when it was needed, the extra bit of pressure when it was needed. He was doing that really well last week. Today's game was odd in terms of the midfield. It was almost non-existent, really. A lot of the midfield play, it seemed to just be bypassed or be just one pass, and then it was passed through. There was no real resistance for either team in the midfield. So a weird sort of game, and then neither of these games he's looked particularly good in front of goal, which is a shame because that was a nice addition, nice string to have to his bow, being able to pick up those efforts. Mendes Lang, if he'd taken one of his chances, this would have been a much more comfortable outing. That's the main thing. The first thing that happened though after that was a corner for Bolton and a free header from that well worked corner for Amerson.
Amerson, yeah.
He should have done better with that.
It really should have. That was very much a free header. It
was really weird watching the replay because everybody started out past the far post, so it was obviously something they've some kind of movement they've worked on. And he ended up heading it at the near post. But, oh, my goodness, he should have done a lot better. He just missed the target altogether from his free header. And then, 65th minute, Johnson works a really good chance for himself. There's cries of handball as it's blocked away. 66 minutes from the resulting corner, a chaotic scramble results in Story poking it home on the line. They were crying foul hear the commentary team from Bolton.
Why? I saw absolutely nothing of that.
What did they pick out? They seemed to think that somebody, and I believe this somebody would have been Hutch, was having a wrestling match with somebody on the goal line, and that was pivotal.
No.
I couldn't really see it, to be honest, but they kept banging on about it.
Well, that must have been like what's the far right of the goal, because I mean, is that the case? Whereas you're watching the highlight back? Are you watching the highlight back as I talk to you now, Rich?
No, I've not.
I look at your face and you look like you're transfixed.
No, I was just looking at some stats.
Oh,
I don't believe they're available yet. We're so hot on the heel of the game.
So here's the thing. So I mean, from my notes about the goal, okay. So Bannan did a very long cross to the back stick, and that's something that looks like we've been working on. Mm-hmm. And then Harley Dean, favorite old school porn star named centre back, got up and met it really, really well. And then I seem to think did it bounce off the post, or did Old Trafford get a touch on it?
I just think it seemed to dawdle its way through. I don't know whether.
I thought it kind of cannoned off the post and then came back across, and then there was a bit of a battle for Story to get there. Yeah, against a Bolton defender, and he got the nick on it and got it over the line. But it looked like it was close, and looked like it was maybe if you'd left it, it might have gone in. I don't know, but it needed that touch, I guess. But I'm wondering then if they're thinking.
I am now looking at.
Oh, now you are. Now you. But so Hutchinson must be on the right side then, or is he at the left side after that kind of ping pong melee at the post or the back stick?
Yeah, so it's a big header from Dean.
Yep.
He gets it from deep. Then there's like a crush of about 4 players.
Yeah, no, it's just general scrappy. Everyone having a kick at it. It's one of those kind of energies.
And with the shirts, it's almost impossible to tell who's on which team.
Right.
It looks like Berahino and Luongo are both on the floor.
Okay.
Hotch is there, and so's their number 15 and the goalkeeper. And then it sort of hits that. Yeah, maybe the keeper does save it with his face, or it hits the post. It's very hard to tell from this.
Yeah.
This person filming. I follow off a screen at a kind of jaunty angle. It's really hard to tell. Maybe in slow-mo on YouTube it will all become clear. But the main thing is John Story pokes it home. We're 1-0 up. And we can now feel like this ho-hum day trip to Bolton has been worthwhile because we've got 3 points and we just need to get to the end. Berahino seemed to have hurt himself in some way, and Patterson did a kind of ouchie face to the to the folks on the bench. We then had chances to extend our lead.
Very much so, yeah. I mean, there's a chunk of this. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, my first one's 76 minutes. Have you ever got one?
69th minute. Gregory took a crack from 25 yards, and it took a nick to go behind. We tried the same routine again, but this time. Yes. Harley Dean met it so well that he met it over the bar,
He met it, yeah, he met it about 6 rows into the crowd.
Pretty much. But yeah, 75th minute, scintillating stuff from Wednesday. This is some really brilliant build-up play. This is the crowning achievement of, I think, someone who you've said has had a very good game, Massimo Luongo. Luongo with a little... I can't even remember what he did, but it was really, really good work. I think Nutmeg was involved, I believe.
I think so, yeah. Mm-hmm. And also just that stick-to-itness that he brings to situations. He just doesn't like giving up ever, and that's quite a nice little facet to have to your game. Is like, I'm just going to keep digging away at this, actually, mate, and you're going to get bored before I am, so might as well let me have it. Yeah, that's where we led to. That's where we got to the shot from Johnson, straight at the keeper.
Yeah, smash one goal, and then it was parried back to Bannan, who did like a swivel finish, which was just agonisingly wild.
Oh, he megged 2 players as well on the way. It went through 2 players' legs on the way to just going wide. Agonising. I've also got one at 85 minutes.
Was that Mr. Callum Patterson heading wide?
Yeah, short corner routine sets up Patterson with a free header on the penalty spot, but he doesn't really connect with it and sends it tamely wide.
That was bad.
He should have done a lot better with that. And normally he does, to be fair.
Yeah. So this is going to be really interesting because me and you now have different commentary feeds. So the next moment, 87th minute. Now, I think from our commentary feed, let's kind of just bring in a bit of backstory about this. Elias Kachunga has been playing. They made comments about how he was getting boos from the Wednesday fans.
Yes.
Is far more reaction than Elias Kachunga actually deserves.
No, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know what he's done to become any type of pantomime villain. He was. I don't know. Is this going to be like if next season, like depending what division we're in, if another team picks up Silasau, are we going to boo Silasau? Like,
how dare you take our Silasau?
We're just going to be like, well, I don't know. He was. That was the whole thing. End of last season, thinking about Elias Kachunga and thinking about like, well, I don't know. Like, we're always going to have a fifth place striker who's going to be a fifth place striker because they are naturally a fifth place striker. You know?
Yeah.
I think you just kind of hope with a certain thing that maybe some kind of magic rubs off, or maybe they offer the team something different. And I just think of this Kachunga as the same way I think of Sau and maybe Canberra as a slight stretch as well.
Yeah.
Like they're not consistently good enough to be top on the game sheet, but they're a change of legs and and then sometimes they can offer something a bit different, and then it's a squad game, and we do genuinely get injuries as much as we, do a bit of Darren Moore bashing on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't really understand.
So I don't understand why anyone felt that he deserves some boos. It's very strange. However, speaking of actually his situation where I think he could probably do with some boos. So we had some hilarity, 87th minute. This was hilarious at Andy Giddings, turning into Quagmire here. I thought that Wednesday were going for a second, but we just battled it straight into the corner. Now, some kind of coming together over nothing. Question for you, Rich, and something I'm going to look at from the commentary of the White Men. Is Elias Kachunga lucky to stay on the pitch? Because he does the reaction.
He did do a reaction.
It was it was one of those stray nuts. And it's like, as soon as you do that, I think we've agreed that, I thought that we've agreed in a consistent refereeing that you cannot do that.
We've got the Dada-esque.
Yeah, fair enough.
And
it's also... It's
if I point three ways with my penis and my two hands, which way do we give the foul?
You're imagining it's like a VAR officiating, a bit like Squid Game, but it's completely fucking randomized, I guess. Comes over a tannoy, being it's a green ball. But I mean, also like naturally with like, it's funny. I think I probably mentioned like when I was back at the only game of football I managed to see in my COVID-stricken return to the UK, and the first time for years was my nephew playing football, and they came up against a team of like real big lump kids who are well organised. But they're doing all the thing where like you can niggle a player and the referee is naturally just going to see the reaction. They don't see the first thing.
Yeah.
But in this case, he seemingly saw both of it, but then the reaction is bad from Kachunga. And it is a sending off.
I thought he shoved Hunt in the face.
I thought he came in with he did a bit of a... I think as soon as you see a player doing a forward nodding motion, as though you're going and put the nut on someone, that's you done at that point. If you've done that and you get caught doing that, then typically 9 times out of 10 you get sent off.
If I could bring the white man's perspective to bear here, Luke.
Oh, please do. We don't hear enough from white men.
Yes. The white men, they say... No, they seem to think, and I do remember this happening at Hillsborough, and I think weirdly we did kind of single out, I think the players seemed to not like Kachunga, and there was a few tasty bits and pieces of tackles and things like that for Kachunga. Now, whether that is like chicken and egg, like the crowd have decided he's a pantomime villain, therefore everybody's buying into him being a pantomime villain, or we responded to the players seemingly like, okay, maybe this guy was a prick in the dressing room, therefore they're really enjoying the fact that they can now give him a kick, and we're responding to that. I don't know, But they said like he'd been singled out for some special treatment by the Wednesday players, and he'd had some hard tackles and things like that, and an extra foot left in. And so I think we've been riling up Kachunga, and also obviously the fans booing him. But him and the Hunt just really sort of schoolyard style went at it in that corner in terms of before the whistle was blown. Like they were kicking lumps out of each other pretty heartily. But you're right, yeah. Kachunga seemed to react the most. Whether it was a hand or a head, it seemed like Hunt got hit in the face. And the ref does the classic cop-out thing of giving them both a yellow and kind of a pat on the...
Yeah.
The real downside of this is it seemed to light a bit of a fire in Bolton, who'd looked very much like, we don't care, our season's over, we've got our flip-flops on. Suddenly they started playing like this mattered, and there was something to prove here.
Put on their business flip-flops.
They put on their business flip-flops and said...
Big boy flip-flops.
They changed their thongs for Birkenstocks and trudged their way down to the beach with a sense of purpose. And in particular, Elias Kachunga won a corner for Bolton. ...
Yeah.
Why are we so crap at set piece? This was a bad corner.
Yeah, no, it's really...
It's a corner that goes over every single body in the box. And Lee Gregory, inexplicably, sort of just kind of has a gag reflex thing where he sticks his toe at it and tees up their man to have a shot charging into the box. Jordan Williams is the goal scorer.
But it's just that the nature of like conceding a goal like this is heartbreaking. Not purely for, I think, the points that you're saying, which I think are valid points, and I do want to say, you've led a really good point with that, Rich, I'm going to say. But the thing I'm going to kind of look at and focus on in this situation is conceding a goal where someone takes a scuffed, not very strong shot through a crowd of players, and then the seemingly long dive from Peacock Farrell. It's not a good finish to concede from. It's not a good goal to concede in the build-up and the defensive nature of this.
Yeah.
But the connection's bad, and it's so fucking tame. It's just so tame.
I don't remember thinking it was a bad reflection on Peacock Farrell. I haven't seen it back, so maybe I can see the equaliser. Yeah, I think it's impossible for him to get on the end of that. I don't think. But
it just seems so weak when it comes through a crowd of players. He can't see it.
It's not a clean finish, but he's got it right in the corner. It's a good finish. It's not a clean strike, but it's a good finish. I think. I just don't know. The thing that just annoys me is what the hell Gregory is thinking. I just don't know. I just don't know what he's got in his mind that he takes the touch that he does. It's bizarre. I'm trying to see if I can send the tweet to you, Luke, somehow, so you can see it back.
Okay.
But just poor game management, and I think. I mean, you couldn't possibly know what happened in the corner was going to rile them up and light a fire in them. But the time wasting was egregious.
It wasn't some of the most offensive time wasting I've seen, but it's just been funny, especially after kind of recent events and looking and thinking about last week. And having this conversation with my older brother Andy was just like, I just want to say, like, is this not something that's universally agreed and looked upon? That it's broken. It's broken within football.
Yeah, but
do we have to see this in the top tier of English football before anyone does anything about this? Probably. Can you imagine having that on like Match of the Day or something? We need fucking Alan Shearer to talk about it. We need Lee Dixon to fucking talk about it.
I think teams do it everywhere. Atletico Madrid are, to all intents and purposes, might as well be a Billy Davis team. They're a Billy Davis team with airs and graces. it's all about going 1-0 up and then being awkward buggers, time wasting,
shop
till the end of the game. Well, the problem is we can't do it. We can't defend. What we can do is hold possession and wear teams down. We can't. Time wasting stupid for us because what we don't want is to them to get anywhere near our box. We should have Hunt should have gone and pushed into the box. We should have tried to make another chance. We are a decent attacking team. We're a fairly good possession team. We're rubbish at defending, and we must be one of the worst teams in the league for defending set pieces. I'd be amazed if we're not right at the top of that particular slurry pile, or the bottom. I don't know. Where's it worse to be in the slurry pile? Nowhere's good in the slurry pile. That's what they always say. So that brings us to the end of the game. We didn't really. There was 5 minutes added on because of all of our time wasting, but we didn't manage to make any hay out of that extra time. We dithered and didn't. And
my only kind of final note was just out of any kind of resignation from things was just seeing a moment where we had a throw in, and then there was a jockeying between Jack Hunt and Patterson as to who was going to take the throw in.
Yeah.
Oh, lordy. And I was actually weirdly I was actually glad that we had something that gave us some impetus to actually take a long throw in.
Yeah.
Nothing came of it. It'd be nice to have that as a piece in our, for some reason it's something that we, has looked good previously. Then we're like, let's not use that weapon. And,
well, isn't part of the issue that only Patterson's the only person that's any good at heading them down? He's the only one that's good at taking
maybe,
them.
but I mean, we've got our option. We've got defenses, we could chuck defenders up there, I guess, I don't know.
Did you really get riled up when Ian Evatt headed the ball out? And I'm like, oh, great. Yeah, this draw is really going to help you in your last-minute surge to be 10th in the league. He headed it out so that Patterson couldn't take a quick one the second time.
It's worth like £500 more to get another place, or whatever it is at the club. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a new bunch of pies they can make or something.
What's tricky is there's apologies if I've said that, if I've mentioned this before, but there was a clip of I think Mike Pence. It might have been Mike Pence or it might have been Lindsey Graham, but early on in sort of the Trump presidency, they were talking about crime figures, and the person they were saying crime's crazy, crime's going bad. We need to do stuff to deal with crime. And the person was like, well, actually, the committee or whoever they were talking to said, well, actually, we've looked at it, and do you know who it would have been? Sorry, what was the weird little guy that was the Attorney General? Can you remember?
Was he the one that Kate McKinnon played, who looked like a ferret? Yes. I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's good to launch into a story like this when you don't have enough of the facts. But anyway,
Jeff Sessions.
Sessions. Yeah, so Sessions was saying, that we've got a crime epidemic in this country, and then the committee that we're talking to him saying, well, actually, all of the figures show that violent crime's never been lower, blah, 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 and kind of reeled off all these statistics. He said, well, it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel that way. And this Wednesday team, and that's not valid because facts are valid and how you feel doesn't matter. As the, as the alt-writer loves saying to snowflakes, your feelings don't matter. Your feelings aren't valid or whatever. But this Wednesday team, it's like we're up to 5th. We're unbeaten in 5. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're just so... No. I just remain really unconvinced by this team on so many levels. And it worries me particularly, I think, away from home. It worries me potentially going into playoffs, and even the run into the playoffs. We've got several away games now between us and the end of the season. So we've got three away games, only 2 at home. I don't know. Is it because I'm a Sheffield Wednesday fan and I've had this hard-won cynicism ground into me by year after year of letdown, or is it a genuine worry based on what I'm actually seeing, which is what it feels like to me? Is just, I don't know. There's just something not quite when it comes down to it. This lot just don't have the minerals. Or am I just being paranoid and mad, Luke?
No, you aren't, Rich. It's funny, sometimes it's about setting yourself up for the position to do better in the future. I think, I don't know, there's I follow disc golf a lot, and I think there's a lot of terms that I think they take from kind of golfing terms in terms of kind of tournaments. And, I think there's a mentality to put yourself in an okay position at the start to then go into the second and third day of a tournament, and they call it moving day. So that's the time where you actually start getting going and you start really racking and really ratcheting up and build up that momentum. Thinking about that in a kind of football lens, you think about playoff teams, and you think about teams who kind of hit form at the right time. And it's just looking like maybe for some of those reasons, maybe we're just a little bit off on the form side, even though our form is pretty good. But I think it's more about the questions of what we have hanging over us and the problems that we have. There's no immediate gear change or solving of those problems.
No.
And, still, we should, I don't know, the players should be used to playing 3-5-2 now. And it's just not quite there at the back, And again, we've not gone with a settled defense.
Yeah.
It's the world of pure imagination at the back in terms of players. And, even again, it's the quite, Iorfa has looked shonky. Iorfa has looked complacent. Iorfa typically does look a bit complacent, but kind of has that lackadaisical pace and talent to pick up, to mop up from something from, if he has a spill, he's got the bounty nearby to get that.
Yes, having a touch of recovery pace is no bad thing.
But then there's the question being he's come back and he looks a shadow of his former self.
Yeah.
I think we can probably be fair enough, and especially that there has been there's been some changes, and there's been some people coming back and having kind of Lazarus-like rebirths in the Sheffield Wednesday team, I should say.
Yeah.
So that we should have some faith that they do that, but we need them to get that shortly. And I don't know if we would have stuck with Iorfa, whether that would have been better today, or whether eventually it gets better. But I think he's going to need games to get there. But I don't know. I think I think I've seen this with Wednesday before. It's with situations where we get players back from injury who we know are important. We know we've seen the great work that they've done. Byers as well.
Yeah.
I think Byers being off does make a slight difference to that midfield. It means brings his performance quality down a little,
Yeah, one bright spark I think this week in terms of midfield is we've seen Adeniran back on the training ground, and I think that midfield three have suffered from the fact that there is just nobody. I know he's resorted to Patterson coming on, but Patterson's not really a like for like replacement.
Yeah.
For midfield.
Well, I mean, what about FDB? I mean,
well, he just doesn't seem to fancy him, does he?
No, but I think he had a spell. He had a period.
Yeah.
Of looking good in this Wednesday side during the period.
But again, more like Monk before him, certain people get endless chances in this rotation thing, and other people just never seem to get a sniff. I don't know. It's
I was also weird in this game thinking I think we should have made 3 substitutions, and maybe we just got a bit complacent after that goal.
I think
a little
so.
bit. I mean, we still look like we could have scored, but I have to watch myself here, and I know what we said historically about this player, but Shadipo, everyone's favourite chap from the Emerald Isle. He's genuinely Irish, apparently, as a nationality choice. I thought he was going to come on today, and I thought that might have been
isn't that the. I think that's the tricky thing is we can't, and maybe it is all logical and maybe it is all part of a plan, but I think that's the tricky thing is like, like films or like any kind of fiction that's set in a kind of fantasy setting. My beloved Elden Ring, like there needs like, if anything can happen, it's no fun. Like there needs to be established rules within. We need to know the parameters so that we can know what's possible, know the realms we're working in. And I think with more, it's like, I don't know, it just keeps like, there's no consistent boundaries to work within to like, what's it like? Yeah, Shadipo, we need to keep him around. I know he's going to be injured until like the last 5 games of the season, but he's a character we want to have around, and we're going to keep him around. We're going to give him a squad number when he's fit, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, so bring him on for the last 5 minutes. Give him some more game time, get him ready for the games ahead. There's a complete, consistent through line of thought. Same with Iorfa. Like, yeah, Iorfa's an important player, probably our first choice centre-back. We want him to get minutes. We know it's a bit rough at the moment, but it's going to be worth it because but it doesn't get followed through. It just gets changed again.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like, it's like a mystery, a detective mystery where they're like, well, it couldn't possibly be that guy because that guy's got an alibi. And then later, like, well, actually, it turned out it was that guy because he didn't really have an alibi. I was like, well, that's not a fair, like, that's not a fun mystery. I know you're writing it all, so you're in charge of it all, but it needs to like have some threads that hold it together. Otherwise, just anything could happen. Oh, actually, it turns out, blah blah blah. I don't know. I just find it frustrating. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. We've got a tough game coming up with MK Dons away now. That's going to be they're in pretty fine fettle. We've also got a bit of the curse of the X potential there with that chap Corbino, and doubled up then with a home game against Crewe. So we'll probably record in the midst of those 2 games and then talk about both after the Wycombe game. I imagine that's going to be our calendar going forward. But for this game, what do we want to do with our draw? Do we want to pick out a standout player or a villain of the piece, or do we
maybe do both? Maybe that's the point. Standout players. Bannan was very good.
Yeah.
I think Hutchinson needs some kudos for some important moments.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously gave kudos to Massimo Luongo. I think I'm going to go Bannan from those 3.
Fair enough. I think I would personally. I'd go for Luongo. I think Bannon's as guilty as anybody for the profligacy, which Luongo wasn't personally. Didn't personally offend me in that regard. Because Bannan had 3 gilt-edged chances in the first 15 minutes, and if he'd done better with any of them, this could have been a different story. This game.
In terms of sins, I think there is a big one, which I think I've really seen a lot from talking to you today about this. I think it's going to have to be Gregory. For Plum. For his assist, little tee up.
I don't know what. I mean, he's not thinking. That's the thing, isn't it? But I don't know what he's thinking.
Outside of that, Mendes-Lang.
Yeah. Both the front 2 come in for some kudos along with the kudos. I thought Gregory again had another one of these games where he was pretty effective by and large, but yeah, it's a cardinal sin really to do what he did.
Yeah.
And we would have been if he just wasn't on the pitch, if he just disappeared and didn't exist anymore in that moment, we would have been better off than him being there and touching it. Which could be possible in the Moore universe. Anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, there we go. I mean, perspective-wise, as we say, we've won 3 out of the last 5. We're unbeaten in 5. We've had some pretty hearty wins in there, and we sit 5th with the game in hand over some of our sort of nearest rivals. So it's not the worst thing in the world. We're in a nice position. it just sort of sits uneasy. That's the tricky thing to shake with this team at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
But there we go. Oh, Crew have lost at least 5 in a row and are rock bottom of the table. So they'll be looking forward to their trip to Hillsborough to turn that form around.
Are we getting into any elements that teams are almost getting to the point of being like, I think Crew are officially relegated.
Oh, right.
Because they're 13 points off Morecambe on 38 points, and there's 4 games left for them to play. We're in that weird situation. We've got 5 games. Still Wigan, I think, had a cup run, didn't they? And then Rotherham had their PJT success. I think 6 games to play.
Luke, I think the ignominy of almost getting in the top 2 and not quite doing it is one that we have well and truly talked our way out of with our performances like today's. So the wonderful thing is that we won't be worried by that. I think Oxford are on a bit of a terrible run of form, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not doing so good. Most of the results went quite well today. Would have liked Sunderland Oxford to end up in a draw. If we'd held out today and we won our game in hand, we'd be then on 78 points and Oxford on 69. So we'd be 9 points away with 4 games to play, right? Yeah.
Which puts you, we would have almost be confirmed in the playoffs if that happened, but it didn't. So we still need to worry and look over our shoulder.
Yep, we can't relax. We can't do. We can't join the white men on the beach.
We're still slumping around in our Birkenstocks. We can't get nestled into our thongs yet. But there'll be a time for thongs.
Okay, sounds good.
Right, let's wrap this up. Pleasure talking to you, Luke. As often the case, not necessarily a pleasure watching Wednesday, but we worked our way through it. This group therapy session has done its job, and we'll pick things up again in the next session.
Sounds good.
Look after yourself, Luke, and look after yourself, folks, and I'll say cheerio.
See you, everyone. Bye-bye.